Fellow fantasy sports fans, welcome to MFSN The Hub's Fantasy Football Strategy Show, which will be every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. We are off certain weeks. We'll let you know when we are. I'm Dr. Dan Radner. I'm here as always with Kasey, Vlad to the Bone Scheinvold, and Ross the Boss.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk fantasy sports with you, cowboy. It's Thursday. We're live. We got the Bengals on tonight. I'm excited. AFC matchup early, which really is going to matter during playoff time. And you know why, Kasey Scheinfold? Because it depends. It's going to be like where you're in. If you're in the playoffs, it's going to be depend on what seeding you have. So this game is huge.
Ross, you started to sound like Harry Carey there.
A little bit, yeah.
It reminded me of the Will Ferrell Harry Carey. Oh my God, a fan got it either way. I could do that for hours.
I love Will Ferrell. I love Harry Carey. I wasn't really going for that, but thank you for the compliment. I think
it was meant as a compliment / slight ribbing. You know how we work on this show, guys. I want to talk about the shift in format we're doing here because we were doing a waiver wire show on Mondays, but then we realized, Ross has a show, The Hustler and the Boss, with Alex Marino, and it's every Tuesday, and they really tell you a lot about which players to pick up. And a big part of what we love to do in fantasy sports is to talk about strategy. So this gives us a chance to do that. We're going to talk about it through the lens of what is happening now. We're going to pick certain themes, and we'll go with that. And you guys can get a sense of, well, what are the strategies that can get you to win? I'll get to that in a second. But first, let's check in about the kind of the news of the week. What are the big items of things that happened this week that you think bear repeating, talking about? Kasey, anything on your mind about this past week?
I mean, when it comes to fantasy football, I look at the injuries, and the previous week had some pretty significant injuries. Obviously, you got some quarterbacks who are hurt with Tua Tagovailoa. They're saying he's going to play tonight, but he hasn't really practiced all week. Justin Herbert played last week, but was pretty terrible.
Probably shouldn't have.
And as a result, the Chargers look like a pretty weak team right now. You got the news of maybe Dak Prescott coming home in a couple weeks, coming back in a couple weeks to the quarterback injuries, and then you got Sterling Shepard, the only Giant who can catch the ball. I think tore his ACL at the end of that game. Who knows what's going on with Tom Brady's wide receiving core and who's ever going to play there again? So I mean, the biggest news to me coming into this week are all the injuries that happened last week.
Ross, how about you? Because listen, fantasy sports, especially fantasy football, is really about changing values. We've got Just Bob has joined us, by the way. He says, hello, gentlemen. Ross, it's interesting that he separated you out that way. I'll show that just so you can see.
What's up, Yankee fan? Congratulations on clinching. Congratulations on Aaron Judge.
Home runs last night.
Yep. Congratulations to you, Bob. I know you're a big Yankee fan. And same to you, Kasey Scheinfold. Congratulations. And I hope he has 62 very soon. What's the question? I lost my train of thought.
Well, okay.
Bob frazzled him.
I was talking about, the happenings of the week. Kasey
was
talking about
so my favorite thing this week was this. They took a picture in the Dallas Cowboys locker room after the game, and they showed, the strangest thing, they showed Dak Prescott, which are trying to get a quarterback controversy between Dak and Cooper Rush for some reason, and they're putting fuel in the fire. But I don't think this is a controversy. When Dak's ready, he'll play. But long story short, like Dak had his shirt off, and it looked like he was going to shower. And I don't know if Dak knows this, but he didn't play in the game. He doesn't really have to take a shower after the game. I mean, it's great. He's with his players, and he's part of the team, and he's front row center for this coach's speech. I guess I understand it, but I just don't understand why your shirt's off when you didn't play in the game. Kasey, explain that to me.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to take that bait. I'm just going to let that one sail right by. Again, there were some injuries. I don't know. I have no idea when's Montgomery coming back. He destroyed me on fantasy wise. I had Montgomery a bunch of leagues, and Herbert got all of Montgomery's points. Herbert led running backs in fantasy points last weekend, and he didn't even start the game. He had over 150 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. And he was the leading guy. I mean, he was it. And Montgomery, it should have been Montgomery. If it was Montgomery, I would have won more of my leagues.
He's losing his mind like I did about DAndre Swift, which, by the way, I do need to talk about. DAndre Swift looks like he's going to be out until, it sounds like week 6.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, right? So,
But 1 week's a bye week, so you're missing 2 games.
okay, but I mean,
And
he already is. Go ahead.
And you do have Jamal Williams, who's like the 8th ranked running back in fantasy right now, who's his backup. So.
I do, and I'm not complaining about having the Lions running back right now. But the whole point is, why would you draft DAndre Swift when you're also going to need Jamal Williams, because he's invariably going to be out all this time?
Okay, but let me ask you this: you probably would have taken Derrick Henry had you not auto drafted. Who would you rather have right now?
Well, that's an interesting question. No,
but seriously, look at who are the running backs drafted after DAndre Swift? Like, none of the running backs are producing. You actually got lucky because you got Williams.
There's Nick Chubb who's producing. That's it.
Right. But you know what?
The rest of the time, I went through this with the Hustler on Tuesday, and we went through the top 15 preseason running backs, and there was like 1 or 2 guys that are like, okay, he's worth the draft. Everybody else, if you look at JT to McCaffrey to all these guys, they're not producing.
Okay, you're totally right. But this brings us to our main topic. On this strategy show, we're always going to pick one main topic we're going to focus on generally. Today, it's trades. Ross, you know this about me and Kasey. We love trades. So we had to start off with trades. What I want to do is think about trades through the lens of this current point in the season, but I want to talk about it in a way where we can help people see how do you utilize trades in general. So, for example, you're talking about all these running backs. I want to know, what are some strategies you can use in trades with respect to these players? How would you be operating? I'll give you an example just to start us off. There's a big difference in my mind between Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is somebody I would sell immediately if possible, whereas Jonathan Taylor, I'd be buying. There's no reason to think that Jonathan Taylor's not going to bounce back, but there's huge risk in Christian McCaffrey's profile. So I think part of what happens in trades, and this will not surprise anybody, but you have to think about the vulnerabilities that your league members carry in how they think about these players. When I talk to somebody and they're talking about, oh, I love Christian McCaffrey, and I'm thinking, I don't think McCaffrey's going to be that good this year, I'm going to try to capitalize on that. So, Kasey, follow up from that.
Well, you obviously your point about Jonathan Taylor is very well made. This guy has been durable and produced his whole career. I think he was ranked running back 28 after 3 weeks last year. So it's not abnormal for him to start a little slow. They're working in a new quarterback. So yes, if there's a Jonathan Taylor owner in your league who's frustrated with him, pounce, because you look at what somebody's done for years, especially when they're still young. Derrick Henry is one that worries me because A, he missed a lot of last year because he was injured. And B, he's getting up there in years, and he's not a receiving target to begin with. So what I look at this point in the year, because we're 3 weeks in, you have a pretty good sample size for what the rotations are going to be amongst a bunch of players, with the exception of rookies. Rookies, you don't draft a rookie for them to produce in the first 3 weeks of the season. So don't give up on a rookie. You draft a rookie for weeks kind of 6, 7, and above, hoping that they develop over time and earn that share. But like somebody for this year, I'll use Clyde Edwards-Helaire as an example. I own him in a couple of leagues, one in our Dynasty league, so I'm kind of stuck with him. He's a top 10 running back right now, but he doesn't even have the majority of backfield plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He just happens to be finding the end zone and catching a lot of passes right now. But you got Pacheco, is it Williams is the other one there? Darren Williams? Is that Jarrett
McKinnon.
Right. There's McKissick and McKinnon. I always get them confused. So
McKinnon is their
so McKinnon tends to be their primary back right now, but Helaire is outscoring him by a boatload because he's getting all the touchdowns. And so if I am looking to sell somebody, if I'm looking to upgrade, let's say I'm weak at a different position, I need a quarterback because I have Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert, or I need a wide receiver because my wide receiving core has been underproducing. Somebody like Helaire, when in one league I'm in, Khalil Herbert's out on the waiver wire right now. If I think I can get Khalil Herbert off waivers and deal Helaire to improve my wide receiving, that is kind of the route I would go. I look for those people who are overproducing, who are outproducing what their expected value is, and sell them.
And listen, I do want to say that's not always obvious. You will talk to your league members and you'll be surprised. And your league members are going to surprise you. And listen, you better know this. Sometimes your league members are going to be right. There are plenty of times where people talk to me and they're high on somebody. I'm like, why on earth would you be high on them? And then suddenly I'm like, I was wrong. So you have to know these values are going to shift. Guys, we have some questions coming in. I'm going to bring one up now. Michael Alexander asks, top streaming QB this week. I do want to say Cooper Rush is 3-0 as a starter. Who would have called that? Does he?
And he's going against the Commanders, who do give up points.
Right. So he's in the streaming conversation. Ross, who would you put as a streamer, or as we call them on this show, a streaker, which we understand means.
Well, I mean, Hurts and Lamar Jackson are fighting it out for the MVP right now. I mean, they both.
So you can't stream those.
So
I can't stream those, but I do like Kirk Cousins into his matchup this week. I believe they're playing Atlanta.
Actually, they're playing New Orleans.
New Orleans, excuse me. I knew it was some place with a dome. And Cousins plays really good indoors. I mean, he's like a great dome quarterback. He's unbelievable. I like Cousins a lot this week, and you might laugh at me, but I'll say it anyway. I like Josh Fields this week too against Casey's team. So
that passing offense is atrocious.
I mean, I think Josh Fields will have I think Josh Fields is going to have a big day in New York. That's just my opinion. But if I was streaming, I like Kirk Cousins is on top of my list right now.
I would put Jared Goff at the top of my list as a streamer. He's going against Seattle, whose secondary is decimated. He's got Chark and Amon St. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he's got Hawkins Smith. Jamal Williams they might have the best offensive line in football.
But can I just
so you put all that together, and
okay.
I like Detroit this week.
Right. I mean, what I look at is game strategy, and I think that game's going to be more of a blowout. So I see them not really like going for passing that much. By the end of the game, I think Detroit's going to be winning by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Seattle's offense is horrible.
Right, but they got to get those 2 touchdowns somehow. And if Goff has 2 passing touchdowns, I don't care if it's in the first quarter.
When I'm looking at streaming quarterbacks, I want a game that's going to be a shootout, and those are the games that I'm looking at. And I just feel that the game will probably not be a shootout. I don't see Geno Smith shooting it out with anybody. I don't think he can shoot out with his sister. So that all being said, but
the Lions give up points.
But Goff is. Do you want to hear a funny stat about Goff? The past 11 quarters, he's had a touchdown in every quarter. It's never been done before.
That's unbelievable. Okay, hold on, guys. Crazy. We have some questions coming in about trades, and this name is almost impossible to pronounce, which I appreciate, but I'm going to try it anyway. Maybe we should have Ross do it. Here we go. I'm going to do it. It's Iafurger Whoop-Teb-Tebg.
I know this guy. I don't know him at all, but
okay. So listen, the question is this. So I sent a trade for Tom Brady on Sunday morning for Dak Prescott, and he accepted the trade yesterday, and I no longer want to do it. Should I be allowed to cancel the trade he accepted? Okay.
Absolutely not. No.
Especially if
you press accept.
No, he proposed it.
Well, you proposed it. You should have canceled it. But I think Brady's like droppable. I mean, I don't think Brady's the same quarterback he was last year at all. Not even close. He has.
It's hard to say that when he hasn't had his wide receivers together for more than
Dr. Dan
3
Ratner
minutes
out there, and he would still.
I think once he gets Godwin and Evans back, I think he'll be fine. But I don't think he's an upgrade, certainly from Dak Prescott.
Okay, but actually, that's what he's saying. I would be giving him Dak, by the way, for $80. Okay, so
I don't think it's a great trade for him, but I mean, it's not one you can't still recover from.
Well, but I think the question is a different one. It's kind of like almost a commissioner question.
And how many people are in his league? Is there another quarterback he can pick up? I mean, those are important questions because if there's some guys on waiver wire like Goff or even Cousins or
let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. By the way, he's 72% roster, so he's getting up there. But I mean, this guy's starting to put it together. The Jaguars look like a very different team without Urban.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're desperate to stream somebody this week, Mitch Trubisky's going against the Jets. I know Pittsburgh isn't really a scary team, but the Jets, I know they won that game against Cleveland, but they still gave up 30 points.
Okay, one caution, though. Mitch Trubisky could get benched at any point, I think. So you just have to be careful.
But if he's starting this week, he's not going to. If you get benched against the Jets, it's because you were absolutely terrible.
All right, now follow up on that trade. I can't pronounce the name, but it's a 10-man league,
just
and
call
he
him
says
Bob.
No, just Bob.
Yeah, but Bob. Call him Jim.
Jim.
Who's his other quarterback?
Well, he says it's devastating to me because my other QB is Stafford. And then he says, nope, it's waiver wire already went through and it's stripped. So I think that, first of all, I still think Brady's going to be a good quarterback. That team is in a bit of disarray because
Once
of
he
all
gets
the injuries.
Godwin back. Yeah.
Exactly. I would not panic on Brady. So that trade could end up helping you, which is another thing that happens in trades a lot, is that you end up with all of these situations where you think you've got a bad deal.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't work out that way.
Just because Dak Prescott may be coming back in week 5, which is still a stretch, he's still coming back from a thumb surgery to his throwing hand. We don't know how successful he's going to be either.
We've got more trade questions coming in. We got a lot of them. Here comes one from Gitz, 12-man, 0.75 PPR league, 2 running back wide receiver league. My team is Geno/Stafford, JT, that's Jonathan Taylor, Dobbins, Kupp, Evans, Myers, Hawkinson,
Elijah Moore.
And my bench is really bad. I'm not happy with my team. What kind of trade should I look for? Okay, these are the kind of questions we love. Bring these questions. We love it. Guys, what would you do with this team?
We're going to, I'll mention some names about trade possibilities that you should kind of go after. And this kind of like brought it up. So I'll say it. So I'll give the Giants, for example. Everybody wants the golden goose. Everybody wants St. Brown for Detroit. He's the golden goose this year. He's the one that was drafted kind of late, 6th, 7th round. And he's like a top 5 receiver. Okay. So that all being said, even though he didn't have a great game last week, doesn't matter. He's still money almost every week. So there's this guy that plays for the Giants. Kasey, you heard of the New York Giants, right? You heard of the team?
I'm a little
you had a devastating injury with Sterling Shepard. He's out for the year, correct?
Yes.
So the guy I want to go get, and if he's not taking, because he's been like inactive anyway, is Tony, your other receiver.
Kadarius Toney.
He's coming back. So that's the guy the guys like that I want to focus on are the people that you don't have to go after the big names, because people don't want to draft their first round pick, because if they trade their first round pick, they seem like a loser. So you can go after the lower guys. Another example I'll give you is Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. He was focused for 21% of the offense. He was like involved in last week. So there's those little guys that people don't really get press that you should go kind of focus on right now. There's Zay Jones of Jacksonville. I know he's questionable this week. He was just put on the injury report today, but it doesn't matter. But those are the guys you got to focus on, are the people that can win you the league next year. Like last year it was Chase for the Bengals. I mean, he was plummeting down because the rumor was he couldn't catch the football in preseason.
He had the drops in preseason.
Yeah, and Kasey Scheinfeld was like telling us, no, Ross, he'll be big this year. He'll be huge. Draft him. And I did.
Okay, but listen, I'm thinking about what you're saying. These are good players, but these are players that you may be able to get on the wire, which is that's great. But the question is, who are we going to trade for? I did want to say, he said that he already traded Cordarrelle Patterson and Connor for JT. That's how he got him. I like that trade.
Yeah, that's a good trade.
I like that trade a lot. I mean, Dobbins' value is nothing. Coop is worth a lot. I don't think you want to trade Coop or Evans. I don't trade them.
His third wide receiver is where he's getting in trouble, and his quarterback. Those are the two places where he's getting in the most trouble.
I feel Myers was hurt last week. He didn't play. I believe he's back next week, but he gets a lot of he gets like 12 targets a game. I mean,
the issue I see when I'm making trades, one of the things I love to do is make 2-for-1 deals, which is what he did for JT. It opens up space to get somebody off the wire, and you get the best player. The thing that I'm worried about on this team is that you're not that deep in the starting lineup, and if you're doing that and you're trying to trade to get better at the back end, I'd rather you be looking for some way to upgrade some of these players like Geno and Stafford. I want to see you get up there a little bit further. Listen, it's a 12-man league. Maybe it's deep benches too. So you've got a pretty good team. But when I look at Geno and Stafford, listen, I might just try to deal one of Geno and Stafford. Take your bets on which one you think is going to be good. I would stick with Stafford in that.
I mean, I would trade Coop and try to get a top tier quarterback.
Yeah. If you actually,
I feel Geno's.
Well, here's what I would do.
Better.
Here's what I would do. If you want to trade Cooper, you want to either deal from strength, or you may want to cash in one of those chips. If you're going to trade Cooper Kupp, which by the way I would not do, but if you're going to do it, you want to get a top level quarterback and a really good wide receiver back, and you can probably do that. You can, because then you're starting to fill out your team. Other than that, I'd say use the wire. Let's check in on some other comments. We got Marcos Valdez.
Trade Kupp.
Marco says, how are we feeling about Kamara? Start Dillon or Pierce instead this week?
Oh,
So
I
go ahead, Case.
I think people are expecting the Alvin Kamara from 2018, 2019, and I'm not sure if he's there anymore. I don't know if he's produced at all really at that level, save that one game at the end of the season. Was that 2 years ago where he put in like 6 touchdowns? Other than that, I don't see him even as a top 10 to top 12 running back week in and week out.
Kamara, I have a whole thing about Kamara. So Kamara had 6 catches in 2 games the past 2 games. Three catches a game he's getting. That's all he's getting. That's his output. So that said, being alone. And then I watched New Orleans. I watched him run. He's not fast, and he's never been that fast. But he is not that fast of a running back anymore.
Right, and he doesn't have Drew Brees, the king of the check down and the smart quarterback, throwing to him anymore on those little out routes. Instead, he has chuck it as far as I can, Jameis Winston, and
I mean, he looks heavy.
Catches it.
He looks slow. He's not the same running back he was 2 years ago or even last year. I think the whole thing with the court stuff is taken for a spin. I would try to trade him immediately. So Kamara, bye-bye. He's not playing on my team.
I'll just add this, though. I agree with your assessment, Ross, but you may want to wait until he has like a big game and then try to trade him.
Yeah, but I would start, if it were up to me, I would start Pierce this week.
Yes.
I like him against that Chargers defense. Bosa just went out for the season. They've been soft against the run all year long. I think, Texas is not a team that's going to like try to bomb you out of the building.
To me, Pierce is a guy to trade for in general. You get these guys on these bad teams and people think, oh no, he's a low end guy because he's on Houston. He's getting all of the carries, so look, if you think Rex Burkhead is going to keep taking carries away from him, that's going to diminish more and more. Rex Burkhead is 32 years old. So Pierce is the guy to own there. He's a very undervalued commodity. I would definitely start him, but I would also be trading for him.
But I love AJ Dillon too. I don't think you can go wrong with it.
And I believe Pierce will be the best.
Well, that's the other thing. You have to know what the coach is saying. The coach is into it. By the way, follow up on that trade, the Dak Prescott trade. He said, I sent it Sunday morning, though, before the games, LOL, and I forgot I sent it. So a word of caution, don't forget you sent those trades. I've done it myself. It's a really bad feeling. Don't get caught with your pants down.
We've all done it. Okay. But try to get I like Dillon too. And what I've been doing in some of these leagues is I sometimes start Dillon and Jones together. So I know it's going to be a heavy run game, and it is going to be against New England. That's who the Green Bay plays. But sometimes it's good to start Hunt and, let's say, Chubb together if you have them both. It's not a bad play to start them both
one's a
together.
Safe flex play if the other one's a wide receiver.
Exactly. So I've been doing that a lot this year with guys that share the ball. There's like 4 or 5 teams that do it. But, and Green Bay is one of them. But again, I like Pierce too. I think Lovie Smith loves him a lot.
Okay, we got another comment coming in. Nigel Milosev says, I'm 0-3, don't panic. 12-team, half PPR, Mariota and Wentz at quarterback, JJ, CD. Who's CD? Why am I blanking on that?
CD Lamb, probably.
Oh, it's probably CD Lamb. Okay. Yep. It's funny because I think of him as CEEDEE. JJ, CD, Allen, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, very strong at wide receiver in a half-point PPR league. That's great. Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, Devin Singletary.
Jets running back Hall.
Yeah. We've got Ertz and Knox at tight end. I actually don't even know who.
Freiermuth.
Oh, Freiermuth. Got it. Okay.
Why are these tight ends? Yeah.
A lot of tight ends.
That's
but listen,
really strong team, except quarterback for a 12 team.
Right.
I like Wentz. I'm still on the Wentz bandwagon.
I like Wentz, but not as my top starter. Not
against. Not this week. You're right.
So
okay.
What do we do here?
One quarterback
from a trade perspective. What do we do?
So 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex.
Okay. First of all, get rid of these tight ends. Knox, I would waive. He's done nothing this year except sign a huge contract.
I don't know. In a PPR league, I might hold on to. I would trade one of them. I know
he just put on there. He also has Dak on his IR. So Mariota and Wentz only has to get him through a couple weeks.
Okay, so Freiermuth.
Wow, good team.
Yeah.
Freiermuth, not a big fan, obviously. I just feel Mitch is not getting the ball to the tight end like he should be doing. I like Ertz a lot, but
I would trade your top tight end there. Trade your top tight end.
You won't
Maybe
get anything for the.
I would try to
there's no
upgrade.
value.
Honestly, I would upgrade running back. They're good names, but they're not producing. I mean, Javonte Williams is stuck in Denver where nobody can produce. I don't know.
Yeah, but remember, this is
Hackett
half PPR. I think that's some good running
I get
backs.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
But you could upgrade them. It's true.
So you
I would
start
probably
one
try to
quarterback,
package
you're
them
okay
with one
with
of my
Wentz.
good wide receivers and upgrade at running back.
Personally, I look at DJ Moore as a guy maybe to deal. His value is really, really high overall.
he had 5 targets last week.
But he has Baker Mayfield throwing to him. I don't
Yeah,
mean that primarily as a diss on Baker Mayfield, but it's just not that great of a situation. And I think you could, let's say you pair DJ Moore with Singletary, for example, because I think James Cook is going to come on more and more in that.
Right. That's what I was. And Zach Moss. And
yeah, so pair those together, get a great running back. To me, that's more important than the other stuff, especially if you've got Dak on the bench. Let's move on to another comment. We have Isaiah Johnson says, would you trade Keenan Allen and Josh Jacobs for T. Higgins and James Conner? And the answer is yes.
Yes, every time.
Yeah. Now, my question is, what would make people argue for the other side, guys?
Well, James Conner gets hurt a lot.
He
Arizona hasn't been playing that well. T. Higgins is not the top target in Cincinnati, whereas Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, but that's the key with Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, is the number one in San Diego.
Well,
I couldn't argue against doing that trade. I would take T. Higgins and James Conner every day.
I mean, the trade is pretty even. I don't know if it helps you that much. I don't know the rest of your team.
Look,
it looks like you just want to.
In my opinion, you're upgrading from an injured Justin Herbert to a healthy Joe Burrow throwing the ball to you, which is good. And James Conner has a nose for the end zone, and everybody talks about whether Josh Jacobs is going to stay the number one there. They have that rookie who they love so much.
They have White, who's
Zamir White.
Zamir White, who's fine.
Yeah, but also Keenan Allen's he's dinged up as usual. I mean, to me, it's an upgrade just from a health standpoint, even though James Conner's hurt right now. I also think Conner is in a better offense and has a bigger share of that role, of that offensive role when he's healthy. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I understand there could be some arguments on the other side. Let's check in with another. Hey Rugg says
Superflex. Remember, quarterbacks.
Superflex half PPR. I'm 3-0 with a great team and have Swift and Patterson.
Both are hurt. Just so you guys know. Keep going.
Yep. The man with CMAC is 0-3 and scared shitless. Should I try to give Patterson straight up for CMAC and wait it out? Running back 3 is Melvin Gordon. Okay, interesting.
If you can get CMC straight up for Patterson right now, I would do it.
Absolutely. In fact, somebody weighed in on, I think it was just Bob, says that Cordero Patterson is going to break down, which very, very, very possible. He says he's old and will break down. I'll show you.
And they have that Tyler Algier who
could take Tyler Algier, University of Utah.
I think he's going to take over sometime this season. If you can listen, I'm not even that high on CMAC compared to other people, but that's a no-brainer. You know, any chance where and look, even if the trade doesn't work out, you still made the right call. It's like when you're playing poker, you play the hand right. If you have a chance to deal Cordero Patterson for CMAC, you do it. You know, in this situation,
it's a good time to trade Patterson is right now. He had a huge game last week.
That's right.
I believe he's a top 5 running back case. Am I correct?
Patterson is right now. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, right. That's exactly. And if you remember last year, he was on his deathbed the last 5 games. I mean, he did nothing. So guys, I think, yes, if you can get a first-round draft pick for Patterson, you do it immediately.
We're loaded with questions today.
Yeah, Michaels.
Awesome.
Did you see Michaels? He's in a
16 team league.
That's good. Head-to-head. Standard.
Dave Pierce and A-Rob for Breece Hall and Burks. What do you guys think?
I love it. I mean,
Ross?
I would love it more if it was a dynasty league because I think, but Burks is the best player in that deal right now. And Breece Hall has the highest ceiling.
The rookie, Tennessee. I like Breece Hall too. Better than Pierce, actually. I think he has more value, especially right now. And then, I mean, yes, I like that trade. You should hopefully, put it through. Let's see what happens.
By the way, we have a comment on the Alvin Kamara situation. Just Bob says Kamara is going to have a big week this week, and here's what he says why. He says it takes a couple weeks to get in shape. Okay, Bob, so that could be.
Bob, you got to look at New Orleans play and watch how slow he runs. It's not the same back.
All
right. Well, we'll see. And listen,
Go ahead.
I was
just
just
my
gonna
only
say
fear with what we were talking about with that trade before is Treylon Burks is getting the ball thrown to him by Ryan Tannehill, who is not exactly throwing the ball well right now. So you will run into that. But
that's true. All right, we're gonna get into a comment from Gray Area on the cusp of competing. Jefferson, Metcalf, Hollywood, Walker, Wilson, Garrett Wilson, Burks, 8 firsts. Should I trade Hines? 2030. I assume we're talking
probably 2023.
Probably 2023, but still, it looks like it's a dynasty league. 2023 late first and 2024 second for Etienne and Romeo Doubs. By the way, I think Just Bob's mentioned Romeo Doubs as a great pickup and trade target. I totally agree. There's talk of him becoming the top receiver there.
Okay, he's the number right now.
Is this
he's
a
the
dynasty league?
Well, that's the thing I wanted to ask about Gray Area. Is this a dynasty league?
It has to be dynasty. I mean, look at
because you're trading draft picks.
It could be a keeper league, but I'm assuming dynasty.
It's a dynasty. So I love Etienne. Oh God, I would do the trade. Yes,
I would do it.
Yes.
He has 8 firsts. Sometimes you're going to deal from strength. So, and it's a late first. Not only that. So
yeah, I like Travis a lot. Yes, I would do that trade. Yes,
I think that's a no-brainer. Honestly, that's a great deal. Go for it.
He said, I think Jacksonville in the next couple of years will make the playoffs.
And he says I'm my running backs I'm aiming for in the 2023 draft. So this is something I just think about dynasty in general.
I don't even know I guess the running back for Texas is really good. Robinson, he's probably
well. There's a lot of them up and coming. Yeah. Blake Corum on Michigan is going crazy.
Too. It's going to be a fun draft.
And Kasey's Penn State team lost to some joke team a couple
but
weeks
listen,
ago.
if you're in dynasty,
Penn State's undefeated.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you're in dynasty, my strategy in dynasty, not that I'm necessarily the guru of it, but I think I'm starting to figure it out. I really want to build my team around the wide receivers, and if it's super flex, the quarterbacks. But running backs come and go so fast. Look for them young.
I could in the old days. I'll say it in an old man's voice. In the old days, when I was playing fantasy football,
when I was a boy,
I remember LaDainian Tomlinson winning the leagues every year. This guy was unbelievable. Well, Grandpa, those days are over. It's all about
Sean Alexander and what he did.
Wide receiver, wide receiver. And I told you guys this beginning of the year, don't worry about running back. Wait on it. Take the wide receivers immediately because that's going to get you points. And was Ross the boss right? Yeah, it was right. So there you go.
All right. We're going to bring in another comment. This is from Gitz again. Rate my team.
Okay, I love rating teams. 12 man, 0.75 PPR. Which I think makes me laugh. Keep going.
That has nothing to do with Gitz's team, though. Let him
exactly. Dak and Stafford, Saquon, Monty, Cup. So those are his running backs. Cup, AJ Brown, Godwin, Schultz, London. Benches, Bateman, Myers, Dotson, who I really like on the bench. He's our cover boy actually today. Kenneth Walker, McKissick. But I'm 1-2. Should I make a trade?
Oof.
I mean, I really don't see why you necessarily would.
It's a 12 man. So is this 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, and a flex? What is
let's assume that and gets away in if it's not.
Because his running backs, look, I love Kenneth Walker, but he's not valuable for the next few weeks at least. Saquon is the top rated running back. You can't go wrong there. Montgomery, we've seen what happened with Khalil Herbert. He could be stealing touches from him. So I love his wide receivers. I think his wide receivers with Cup, Brown, Godwin, and London are amazing. Then you put in Bateman, Dotson, and Myers. Like he is super strong at wide receiver.
So maybe you do make a trade then.
I would trade up and get a better quarterback situation. I'm not sold on Stafford. I'm not sold on Stafford, Kasey Scheinfeld.
But Dak will be back in a couple weeks. I wouldn't give up too much. I would rather focus because, look, you want to be the strongest team starting in week 10.
I would upgrade Monty.
Right. I would upgrade Monty using my wide receivers.
His value's down here right now.
Well, okay, but
you don't have to trade him to upgrade that spot.
Well, that's one thing. But the other thing is, sometimes people look at that as an opportunity and think, oh, now I can buy low, but they come in too low.
Somebody like Pierce, who we've talked about, I think would be an upgrade there.
Try to get a Tua, try to get a Joe Burrow, try to get a quarterback that's going to have 30 or 35 pass attempts every week. Dak Prescott
has no receivers on the team except CeeDee Lamb. The rest of the guys are a joke.
Listen to this, though.
And then Stafford.
Hold on.
Stafford is not the same quarterback he was last year. He's hurt.
So now here's a follow-up. I got offered Dylan for London, but couldn't do it.
I wouldn't do that
help
either.
You. That does not help your team. You need a quarterback that can run.
Well, he turned it down anyway.
I would offer maybe, I don't know if you could get Bateman. I don't know if you could get Dylan straight up for Bateman, but maybe if you paired him with Kenneth Walker or paired him with.
Why do you want Dylan on that team? He doesn't need he needs to upgrade in quarterback. I'm telling you guys that right now.
I agree with you, Ross.
Numbers this year.
Agree. I agree with you, Ross. I'm not high on Dak or Stafford this year, but I'd want to. That team had so much strength that I'm going to bring it back up again just so we can see it. That team had so much strength that I think I'd want to do 2 deals. I want to upgrade Monty and the quarterback. Why not? Listen, when you upgrade and you get a really great, I don't know, that like made Ross have like some gas or something.
I think I saw a little.
He got very upset by that. So I think you can upgrade both. Why not? You go for the best starting lineup.
You know, right now his value is really low, and I think it's going to go really high in the next 3 weeks. Is Derek Carr for the Raiders? They're 0-3. They're going to start throwing the ball a lot more. They're going to take a lot more chances. And Devontae Adams is going to want the ball a lot more.
But do you really see him as an upgrade for
Derek Carr? I'd rather have Derek Carr than Dak or Stafford, actually.
That may be, but would you make a major trade to get it done?
Would you give up one of those ends to somebody else?
Derek Carr's value is pretty low right now.
I agree. Bring him on. Great.
But yes, I would upgrade my quarterback situation. I think that's your weakness, and I think that can lose you that can lose.
So maybe he deals, let's say, Bateman for Carr, and then he's got him coming in.
Even Myers. Myers is,
Myers doesn't get in the end zone. It's a PPR league, but it's a 3/4 point PPR league.
Yeah, we've talked about Myers only gets in the end zone against the Browns.
He has 2 touchdowns in his career, just so you guys know.
Yep, one against the Browns. Okay, here's another question coming in. We're going to take a couple more questions before we wrap up for today. Jack Tesseri says, trade away Bateman again for Judy.
I don't want a piece of the Broncos offense, man.
Have you seen him get sacked 100 times this year?
Yep.
Have you seen him like misplay games? Yeah.
Look, this brings up the next question. Brett says, should I start Tua or Wilson 1 QB league?
Is that Russell Wilson or Zach Wilson?
You actually spent time and wrote me that question.
I think
should I start Tua, who's like leading the league in yards right now?
Okay.
Or should I start
is Tua starting?
Or should I start Russell Wilson?
He's expected to play.
Yeah.
Or should I start Russell Wilson? Is it Russell Wilson or the quarter? I believe it's Russell Wilson.
I don't think he's saying Zach Wilson.
Yes, you start Tua, dummy. Yes, you start Tua.
Gregory says, I'm 0-3 and got offered Jalen Hurts and Jerry Jeudy for my Waddle and Dak.
Yes.
Let's
accept.
Let me make this.
But I love how fast.
Yes, press accept. Press it.
Let me make this perfectly clear. The top 3 quarterbacks are averaging over 10 points more than the next 5 to 10 quarterbacks. Getting a Jalen Hurts gives you such an advantage. You can cost yourself 5 points per game at wide receiver and still come out ahead. I would never hesitate to get Allen, Jackson, or Hurts right now.
Kasey,
I would almost give up everything to get them.
Kasey,
it gives you such an advantage.
Dance for me real quick, please, Kasey. You do it perfectly.
Can you do the waddle dance? Do you know it?
He waddles like a penguin.
Yeah, he does.
He's an Alabama guy. I'm all about that.
By the way, here's a comment on Dak. Nigel says Dak is underrated. I would send Monty and Bateman for a running back upgrade. That's similar to what Kasey and I were saying. I know Ross disagrees on that, but weighing in now, Just Bob says, okay, rate my team. We're going to do this. Okay. We got a couple more before we
this is Bob. He's a regular.
We got to hit Lewis Singletary before we go, by the way.
Lamar Jackson, who I think's a top tier quarterback right now. So that's a great. Derrick Henry, I still like him. I like King Henry. Kamara, I can't stand. I would get rid of him. Devontae Adams is great. Tyreek Hill is unbelievable. You can't guard him. Ertz, I like Ertz. I don't know why.
Oh my God! Wait, he has Jackson and Herbert.
It's an 8-team PPR.
Is it
super flex?
2 people in the league? Is this a 2-people league? I believe. So it's you and some other guy that are playing against each other. Pittman.
He owns 4 of the teams. He just took the best of them and put them together.
So you got Herbert.
It's a pretty sick team. Although I wouldn't put Kamara as your second running back. I'd put Pierce up there.
One of my like underdog guys. You got to start every week.
Actually, that's a really good point, Kasey. I think Pierce has leapfrogged Kamara.
Okay,
And I would probably pick up Tony Pollard if I were you, because I don't think Zeke's going to keep his value much longer.
I would drop Knox and maybe pick up Robert Tanyan, actually.
All right, let's jump in with another question. Luis Singletary says, Derrick Henry for Chase.
I wanted Ross to answer this.
Okay, Ross, we'll give it to you. Press accept.
Yes, I'm pressing accept.
Well, okay,
Yes,
let's make sure.
Derrick Henry, all the injuries, everything that's going on in his life, he's not the same running back. He has the same stupid haircut, but that all being said, he's not the same running back. Tennessee is not a good team. They can't pass protect. Tannehill's getting destroyed back there. I don't know if you guys know this.
He also has Eckler and Kamara, by the way. So
yeah, well,
Eckler's another huge bomb that.
But he's going to come back.
He's a buy low candidate.
I don't mind him.
He's got the
Eckler,
job.
All these running backs right now, you guys can trade your receivers and get these guys right now if you want. And I do recommend on some of the teams that you should do it, because right now is a great time to buy these running backs that are high end, because people are really down on their running backs, and it's great to watch.
All right, couple more questions while we have a little more time. Gregory asks, start 2 in PPR: Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, Jerry Jeudy, Romeo Doubs. Who are your 2
PPR league? I'd go with Doubs and Stevenson if you ask me.
I hate Jerry Jeudy because I don't think Wilson can get him the ball.
Travis Etienne, I mean, James Robinson's the bell cow right now there. He's getting all the touches.
I don't trust it either. I agree with Kasey.
Gets 10 touches a game.
Stevenson against a weak Green Bay running defense. I like Stevenson. He had over 100 yards last week combined. And, Travis hasn't shown me anything. I mean, he's been I've been not happy with him at all. Jerry Jeudy, I'm never going to start ever again. I would start Romeo. And Stevenson.
So it's 3 for 3. We go Stevenson and Doubs. Okay, question here. Jack Tessery says, sell Devontae Smith high for Jeudy.
No, I don't think you're. I think you're
selling
selling somebody still on the rise. I mean, look, last week was the best he'll ever do. That's one of those crazy weeks. But you're telling me that with AJ Brown and is it Goddard is the tight end, like
Dallas
he's
Goddard,
not going to get double covered. And Jalen Hurts, against all odds, has proven to be a better NFL quarterback than he was a college quarterback. He can get them the ball. I think Devontae Smith is going to be a top 20 wide receiver for the rest of the season, at least. Jerry Jeudy, I don't trust Russell Wilson. I don't trust
I'd rather have Devontae Smith. Okay, another question. Let's see. PPR, would you trade Jeudy? Everybody's on Jeudy.
Jerry Judy's, it should be called the Jerry Jeudy show today.
It's the Jerry Jeudy show.
We'll be Judge Judy.
Okay, I would not start.
We're judging Judy.
I don't want Jerry Jeudy on my team. So
all right, hold on. Would you trade Jeudy, Miles Sanders, and Deontay Johnson for Sutton and an injured Swift?
Yes.
I would. Really?
Press accept.
I'm not
sure. I don't know if I would or not. I'd have to give that some thought, because
do you know what
I don't
makes me pause? What makes me pause is Miles Sanders. the guy's been getting tons and tons and tons
I would trade
yards per game.
Trade for Swift. That's a good example. Right now is a good time to trade for Devontae Smith. He's hurt.
What I do like about this trade,
you mean
it's a 2 for 3 deal. It's a 2 for 3 deal where you're getting the 2 best players. If you're getting Sutton and Swift, especially if you can get Jamal Williams on your team, it's a no-brainer. But
I don't know if Sutton is that much better than Deontay Johnson. It's a question of who's going to throw the ball to Deontay Johnson. I mean, Johnson is a stud wide receiver.
But I do like capitalizing on getting an injured Swift right now. I think that's a great.
Guys, let's think long term. Let's think if his team is in the playoff hunt in week 10 or week 11. And Swift's healthy, which he hopefully will be, that's having a huge advantage than having Jerry Jeudy or Miles Sanders or Devontae Johnson. I'd rather have Swift than any of those 3 guys, obviously. And you got to think about the future. I mean,
well, but it depends. I mean, if you're 0-3, do you make that trade? If you're 3-0,
he didn't say he was
0-3,
did he?
I didn't say he just said that. We're talking strategy here, Ross. Okay, one more question.
Yes, I would
before
make
we wrap
that
up.
trade because in week 11,
I think I would.
You want Swift.
I think I would. Okay. Last question of the day. Would you trade JJ for Jalen Hurts? To me, it all depends on team.
Who's your other running backs?
Yeah, it depends who your other running backs are. It depends on who your starting quarterback is. It depends if it's a super flex league or not. I mean, there's lots of different ways to analyze what you should do.
Who's your other quarterbacks you have? But yes, Jalen Hurts is a top 5 fantasy football player right now, and Lamar Jackson is too.
And I don't see it ending.
But I think it's a huge advantage having both Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. And I'll tell you a funny story, Kasey Scheinfeld. I have a couple of my Superflex leagues, my two starting quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. So take that, Kasey.
In two of mine, I have Jalen Hurts and Tua. So yeah, I'm in a similar boat. But they're not super flex. Mine's only a 1 quarterback league, which is annoying.
What's that do? It's horrible, Kasey. That's a horrible story.
Guys, we gotta stop. We have more questions still. I'm gonna squeeze in one more before we go.
Questions.
One more. Gray area.
If I trade
Jefferson away,
not George Jefferson, right?
Justin Jefferson. What's
right,
the
Kasey?
Haul?
Away, but
it
still
should be pretty big. I would not sell based on the fact that he's not played that well or not had the numbers.
I don't think you can get fair value.
That's true. Can you get fair value right now? I don't think you can, but I think if let's say you could. Let's say somebody offered
the last question's an absolute yes, by the way.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second before we go. But the last thing that I would say about this is, let's say you can get somebody who gives it, gives full value. Make sure you're getting somebody. Let's say you get like Mike Williams and
Lamar Jackson
and buy low on Austin Eckler, for example.
Well, you should.
I'd probably do that.
I would look at something like Travis Kelce, an Austin Eckler, and an upgraded quarterback. Like,
yeah,
try to get three. Something in the top 3 or 4 at almost every position for a Justin Jefferson, because he's that good.
All right, guys, we got to wrap up for today. This was great. All the comments. Let's keep it coming. We are going to be here most weeks at this time. This is Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, and we're here to talk strategy. We love talking trades, so we could do this all day. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. And Kasey and Ross, thanks for joining me. We'll be here next week.